Hi everyone. So I'm focusing on my next chapter of my John Maxwell, and it's this book, Your Roadmap for Success. You can get there from here. So today's chapter is on goal setting and how do we get to there from here. When I was a little girl growing up in Rhodesia, we used to have Sunday afternoon drives. So my dad used to say to us, let's go for a drive. And we used to just take a drive and see where we would land up. Sometimes we would go to the river. Sometimes we would just take a drive around different neighborhoods. And he would ask us, where do you want to go today? And then we'd tell him. And sometimes we would stop and get an ice cream on the way. Or we would phone our friends in Kadoma. My dad had a very good friend. His name was Xavier D'Souza. So he'd phone and say, we're taking a drive and we want to come visit you. And so that's the way I grew up. That's the way that I approach things in life, where I was free to call people up and say, hey, I want to come visit you, or are you at home? I'd like to pop in to see how you're doing. It's very different in North America, and I've learned that from my family in North America, in the United States, because they have told me that they don't want me to just pick up the phone and say we want to come over. Sometimes they tell me this is not a good year, we don't want you to come. So I've learned to adjust to that, but it's not the way that I grew up. So I have a different way of approaching things in life. And that's why it's important to read books like this and to learn from other people what they want. It's the same with my godmother. Before I used to just phone her. But now since she's got a mobile phone, she told me she wants me to message her and arrange a time to call to call her in case she has company or in case she has somebody there. So that's what I do to please her. Anything to please the family, because of course they're giving me money, they're helping me, because I don't have a job. So when you're taking money from other people, you have to abide by their rules and by what they want. What I do, and I told my aunt what I do, I just put my phone on silent, or I turn it off on the times that I'm not available. But this is how we learn, and this is how we approach goal setting. Because if we don't learn, we're going to end up getting hurt. So John Maxwell gives a very similar example in here, and it's the example of how the same kind of thing, somebody going on a trip. If you don't plan where you want to go, you can land up anywhere. So it's the same thing as me when I'm setting my goals. We have different types of travelers. We have victim travelers who focus on things outside of their control. We have foot dragging Freddy, who isn't worried too much about the past, but he doesn't want to think about the future. He just wants to live for today and leave everything else for tomorrow, leave it in God's hands, so to speak. And he wants to maintain the status quo. So you get that in a lot of companies. They don't want to change things. They're like, if it's not broken, we don't need to fix it. Just leave it. We don't want your ideas. We don't want to think about the future. We don't want to think about where things are going. And then we have, this is John Maxwell's term, Debbie the dreamer. Debbie loves to plan and spend a lot of her time doing that. The problem is that she never turns her plans into actions. She's got great ideas and she wants them to be successful, but she doesn't take risks. And she's not willing to pay the price required to move forward on the success journey. And then the final one is motivated Michael, focusing time on the present and looking to maximize his potential. One of the reasons he's so effective is that he spent a portion of his time yesterday planning what he wanted to do today, and the result, he's focused on his purpose. He's growing towards his potential and sowing seeds that benefit others out of the positive overflow in his life. So when we're looking at our roadmap or our route for success, we focus on the success of the journey. And part of the trip, the first part of the trip is most important. It's just as important as arriving at our destination. And one of the things that I do as an executive assistant is I book trips for people. And then I have to have the itinerary. I have to put that itinerary into their calendar. And I've been on the other side of that now because I book my own trips. So when I plan my trips, I plan, okay, am I going to be staying with friends or family? Am I going to be staying in a hotel? Where am I going and what are my priorities? Is it cost cutting? Is it the shortest trip? Is it fewer flight changes? So when we do that, we take those skills and then we apply them with the people we're supporting. If you don't have a destination or you don't know where you want to land up, you're not going to get there. And that's basically what John Maxwell is emphasizing in here. One of the things that I've worked on is helping people plan their trips, or even when people call the American Automobile Association to ask them to help them to plan a trip. They have a starting point and a destination, and then they help them, give them an idea of what's available. That's what I did in customer service. That's what I did in customer service when people's phones broke or they had roaming charges and they didn't understand why. Because when you go from one state to the next in America, even though you don't think you have roaming charges, you have them because you've crossed into a different state and the towers pick that up. So even though you didn't sign up for it, the phone from that tower picks it up and then you get roaming charges on your phone. So you can imagine how frustrated people are when they call us because that's not what they signed up for. And the company doesn't tell them that, oh, you have to make sure this app is turned off when you're traveling because otherwise it will automatically connect to the tower. So that's important in my line of work when I'm doing my planning, my administration, when I've dealt with customer service, when I've dealt with insurance. It's important that I'm able to communicate that. One of the things that I had to deal with insurance was looking at the deductibles. So how much is not covered when you put your insurance claim in that you have to cover, being able to explain that, being able to explain the insurance securities policies that I was selling with Primerica. Because ordinary people, we don't know these things. We only learn as we become aware of it and when we get to our end goal of what we're trying to achieve. So when we have goals, they draw out our sense of purpose, and our sense of purpose can be in helping people. For me, with my work, whether I'm paid a big amount or a small amount, I ask God to bless my work and to make it fruitful for Him, to make it something that helps people. And anybody can do that. The philosopher poet Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "The world makes way for the man who knows where he is going." So if I didn't want to graduate, if my end goal was not to graduate, I wouldn't have studied, I wouldn't have been disciplined, I wouldn't have worked with my professors to say, okay, which courses am I going to take that are going to make me the best spiritual director, the best to help in ministry. I was very focused on my end goal of what I wanted to achieve in helping to alleviate poverty, in building partnerships with different corporations, in helping to support women and girls facing economic challenges. I had a very clear goal in mind of what I wanted to achieve. And so with that in mind, I chose my courses when I was studying. And it's the same now. When I renewed my HRPA designation this year, they have a lot of courses that are available, which are part of our package of what we pay for. So they are free, they are called free courses or free webinars, but actually they are not free because when we renew our membership with the HRPA, it includes certain conferences, it includes certain webinars. It used to be 2 free conferences a year, and I think they had up to 6 or 7 free webinars. So when it says free on the free for members, it doesn't mean that it's actually free. We've paid for it with our dues, and that's why it says free for members, but we've paid for it. So that's important to remember in our end goal. So goals help to motivate us. They give us that goal. They help us to think about what success we want to achieve. And if we want to achieve success, we take small goals, because the small things that we accomplish will lead to those big goals eventually. It was the little time I took every day to study, to write my papers, to correct the mistakes with references. All of those goals added together led to my graduation. It's the same on customer service, taking the direction to change the way I'm talking to people, to be more confident, to be more assertive, to use words that show compassion, to use words that demonstrate empathy. I had to do it for the Americans. Where I come from, it's not as important in Zimbabwe as it is to the Americans and the Canadians. But what they want to hear is what you have to give them. So I had to change, and I had to adapt to that. And through that, I became successful in customer service. I didn't have to use it so much in my other work, in the other things I did. But in customer service, especially when people can't see your face, they don't have that body-to-body contact, it becomes more important how you use your voice and what they are hearing you say. So those are the things I had to learn. And goals show us what to do. They help us to keep our attention in the present. There's an English writer, poet, and politician, Hilary Belloc, put it, while you are dreaming of the future or regretting the past, the present, which is all you have, slips from you and is gone. To be successful, we do have to live and work in the present, because that is where we have the power to actually accomplish something. So today I went into the church. When I saw I remembered that it was the day dedicated to Our Lady. So I made it to the Mass, and I stayed for the Rosary. I don't often stay for the Rosary, but today I stayed. And so my colleague Margaret, she's one of the other parishioners, she oversees that. So every May and October, she'll organize and she'll ask people, the ladies, who wants to do the Rosary, and she'll put our names down, and then we have a time where we go in and we do it for the Mass, for the priest. So all of us have small goals that we can achieve, and those are the things that make our parishes, our communities successful. And when we focus on improvement, not activity, and I looked at examples of how I've done that, that's when we actually get things done. Because activity alone doesn't do anything for us. It can become distracting. We can get to the end of the day and say, oh, where did the day go? I was busy the whole day, but I didn't get anything accomplished. And life can be like that. When we accomplish, when we have success, when we take small steps to improving, that's when we can say that we're not just busy, we are accomplishing things. Whether it's cooking a meal or baking a biscuit or taking a walk, even taking a walk, at the end of that we can say, I've accomplished my goal, I exercised today. So goals create mile markers of progress, and each time we achieve a goal, we can see what progress we have and how far we've come. Goals are mile markers on the success of our journeys. So when we have our goals, we make sure that our dreams determine our goals. Our goals map out our actions create results, and the results bring us success. And that's why we say follow the roadmap. Recognize your dream, observe your starting point. How long do you have to travel? Where do you have to go? What are the costs going to be that are involved? And what do you have working for you? So for me, what do I have working for me? And people have commented that they love my photos. They're just taken on my phone, but people on LinkedIn, people on Facebook have commented that my photos are amazing and they can't believe I just take them on my phone. So that's a skill I could bring to an organization working in administration or working in the church, because I know how to take the photos, I know how to use the light, I notice things, I notice when the light changes, I pay attention to the changing of the seasons. And that's a gift that I have, that's something that I enjoy. And success to somebody else might be raising their children well. If you love children and you have ability to teach, you're ahead of the game. So for me, when I look at things, when I look at options available, if I could, I would go and look after my brother's children. I would do it for free. I'll say, I can come and stay here and look after them for you. Because I love them. I love the children and I enjoy looking after them, overseeing them. Sometimes my brother will call me and he leaves me talking to them on the phone and he'll go take a shower or he'll go do something. But I'm too far away to do that and I'm not retired, so I can't go. I have to have an income coming in. But if I could go, I would go. So we have to look at our circumstances, our resources, and our contacts. And no matter where we're starting on our journeys, we have some things going for us. With my GoFundMe, I sent it out to all my colleagues. I sent it out to everybody who has actually met me and worked with me on LinkedIn. And I asked them to please send it out, to please give a donation, and told them that things are very, very hard for me. So some people were not able to give as much as I asked for, but they gave something, and that's a big help to me, because they know that I volunteered at the HRPA trade shows, at the law conferences, I've helped with registration, I've helped with speaker setup, I've been available for the speakers, I've contacted speakers to let them know how much time they have to speak. I facilitated for the Government of Canada at the conferences they had for the internationally educated professionals. So because I planted seeds in the past, people are willing to help me now because they know I'm not going to give up. They know that I'm going to keep applying for jobs, and they know that I'm going to be successful. And they're also looking out for me. They're telling people that I'm looking for work, that I'm available, that I'm looking for a good paid opportunity. So that helps. If we don't look at the distance we have to travel, then we won't be able to achieve our goal. If it's a goal to become an HR professional or to become an engineer or whatever profession it is, we have to contact universities, we have to get information about the programs. That's what I did for WITS. Nobody did it for me. I contacted WITS myself and UCT and all the universities in South Africa. I asked them to send me their brochures. I read up on them, and then I applied based on the values that they were promoting. It wasn't just about getting an education or getting my BCom. It was also about standing up for the values that mattered to me against racism, promoting equality, promoting fairness. That's why I chose WITS, because the University of Witwatersrand led the way. And then after that, UCT joined. But we were the first ones. That's why I chose to go there. So no matter what we do, we have distance to travel, and we have to make it happen. We need to know how much ground we have to cover. It's not a matter of saying, oh, I'll just apply to this university and I'll get in. It doesn't work that way. And also we have to look at what do we have to overcome, what are the challenges, our dreams of getting college, university degrees. But if we have trouble reading, that's an obstacle. If we have trouble understanding, that's an obstacle. And I covered that already about how sometimes Americans will say something and I'll interpret it completely different. But if I'm in England, everyone seems to understand me perfectly fine. The same way as if I'm in South Africa or if I'm in Zimbabwe. There's no like, what did you mean actually by saying that? There's no need to clarify things. You just get each other because you're coming from the same cultural context. So it's the same thing when we want to work in certain professions. I wanted to work as an air hostess, but I don't have the height. I'm a little too short to work in that. So I applied for ground positions. I applied for positions in project coordination or administration. Yes, I would have loved to have become an air hostess and travel and do all that, but it's a limitation, and it's not a limitation I can fix. I can't go to a doctor and say, oh, can you lengthen my legs? Or can you lengthen my neck so that I can become an air hostess? It doesn't quite work that way. So that's what I'm saying. We have to be honest about our limitations. And I apply anyway to the air hostess jobs. I apply anyway, but it doesn't mean they'll choose me. And then looking at the costs, I covered that already. The cost of our time, our energy, our health, our sacrifices, all of those things come into play. It's not only about the money. It's about looking at holistically what is the cost for us and what do we have to do to get that. So the same way my godmother works 2 jobs, I also work 3 jobs at one time. When I get the work, I take it. When I get the extra hours, I take them. I don't sit back and say, well, I want to buy that diamond ring, but I don't know what I'm going to do because I can't afford it. I take the work and I do the work. And the more we think about our dreams and our starting places, the more precisely we can plan. So our vision statement, our statement of purpose, I've written that for myself. The sisters were very good with that, and the Jesuits, because we had to write our vision statement. And I treasure that vision statement. I go back, I look at it, I reread it, and I see, am I on the track of where I want to be? Am I achieving the things I want to achieve? And I set time-sensitive goals, so I make sure every day I'm going on websites, I'm applying for jobs. I try to spend at least an hour every day doing that. I try to exercise at least 3 times a week. I make sure that I'm cooking my meals at home. So all of these things are important in achieving our goals, in moving into action, and adjusting our plans. Because if we don't adjust our plans, we're not going to be able to succeed. And when I book my travel, sometimes I do use a travel agent. So we have a travel agency up the road here. We used to have one just on the corner. So I used to go there when I booked my trip to go home. I didn't do it myself when I went to South Africa. I went to the travel agent and I said, I need help and I've come up with some routes, but I'm still not getting the best deal. Then they booked it for me. And that also helps because then they can tell you about your insurance, what other options they can give you. So we don't have to do everything ourselves, but we do need to review and update our goals on a continual basis. And then once we achieve our goals, we can celebrate. We can celebrate our graduations, we can celebrate renewing our HRPA dues, because when all your circumstances are working against you, that's something to celebrate. That, oh, I actually renewed my HRPA dues. I'm happy that I renewed it because I didn't know if I'd be able to do it this year because things are so desperately hard for me financially, and they have been so desperately hard for me since 2007. And people say, oh no, hold out for the perfect job, don't take anything. And other people say, take anything, it doesn't matter what it is. So who do you listen to? You have to be able to discern for yourself what you can do and what your limitations are. The retail department store founder J.C. Penney declared, give me a stock clerk with a goal and I will give you a man who will make history. Give me a man without a goal, and I will give you a stock clerk. So that's the importance of power and the importance of prayer. It's recognizing that. Because if we don't want to be anything, if we don't want to achieve anything, we can stay like that. It really doesn't matter to anybody else. But it's what we want to achieve, it's what we want to do that matters in life. And there's an example here that John Maxwell gives about reaching our goals and who we become on the journey being important. He says in the case of Penney, he did more than become wealthy by building a chain of 1,600 retail stores with sales topping $4 billion. He developed his potential and that of others, giving generously to charities and helping the people who worked for him. He took his company public in 1927. He gave shares of stock to all the managers in the company and included every employee in profit sharing. It is evident that he found his purpose, grew to his potential, and sowed seeds to benefit others. He was truly successful. So whenever I set goals, I try to be flexible because I have to be, because I don't know what's coming tomorrow. And I trust in God. I trust in God because God has been good to me. And I keep my faith. That's important to me as well. I try to make a difference in other people's lives that's positive. And I've exceeded my expectations because when I came here, I knew I wanted to become an HR professional, but I didn't know what colleges were available, what I had to do. So I contacted HRPA before I came. It was called HRPAO then because it was for HR professionals of Ontario. Now it's for all of Canada. But I contacted them and then they referred me. They said these are the colleges available, and that's how I went to Rotman. I studied, I graduated, I've adjusted to different options in my life, the jobs available. And even when we were in Zimbabwe, we used to clean the church. We used to go on a Saturday or a Friday, and mainly Saturdays because Saturday the church was free and no one came in. We would clean the church, wipe the benches down. We would mop the floors. We didn't have people there to do it. We used to do it, the parishioners. And then afterwards, the church hired people to do it. But we used to do it the same way we do it here in Canada. They don't ask me to do it, but there are other ladies that do it. Even during COVID, we had people to clean the church, to help. And I always offer, do you need help with cleaning the church, or do you need me to do something? And those are the things that we do. Even with my photos, sometimes Father will see my photos and he'll say, email those photos to me because he likes them. So that's what I do with my goal setting. And for now, of course, my goal setting is to get an income coming in, to get a job. And I'm always going to be an executive assistant, whether I get to work in it or not. I trained in that, and that's what I do. The same way I'm an HR professional. I apply my skills in the jobs that I get, in supporting customers, in supporting the team, in supporting the day-to-day running of organizations. Of course, my goal is to move into an executive assistant role, but in the meantime, I'm not just focusing on that. I'm focusing on where I can use my skills and applying to those jobs. So in terms of education, I'm not looking to study anything more unless Regis invites me and says we'd like you to do something and we've got scholarships available. I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish and what the sisters wanted me to accomplish, which Sister Kathleen Flynn wanted me to get my master's in ministry and spirituality. I've accomplished more than I thought I could do. I have my diploma in spiritual direction. So now the aim is to use it and to continue to use it in helping with retreats, in helping in the churches, in helping in the community, and hopefully building those partnerships that I want with Zimbabwe, with Kwekwe. I'm not so much focused on Harare and Bulawayo, but with Kwekwe, where I grew up, with the businesses there, with my friends there, that's what I would like to do. So that's the chapter, and I've given you examples about my life, about how family have helped me, and how I have helped them. And with the apps and everything we have available, it's always possible to learn. But I'm here to facilitate, I'm here to help, I'm here to help to put administration in place. And also we have to recognize that sometimes people don't want, you get tired of listening to people's problems. It's like, you know what, we have counseling available, we have other spiritual directors, we have other people we can talk to. So sometimes I also need a break. I also tell people I can't take it anymore. I know you've got problems, I know you need help, but because I also have so much to deal with, I'm not available to be a listening ear. When my income falls into place, when my job falls into place, I'll be in a better place to listen to you. But right now I'm not, and it's fine to do that, because that's how you take care of your mental health. So I hope that helps you. And again, if you know of organizations looking for a facilitator, an executive assistant, somebody to help in HR, in project management, I have a lot of skills. I'm looking for that next opportunity and to earn a living and to have that income coming in and a good paying job.